Welcome to Becoming a Cook. I'm Charlie Wetzel. Today I want to teach you how to make chicken stock. Chicken stock is one of the most wonderful things that you can keep in your kitchen, and it's really simple to make. So when you make chicken stock, you can use pieces of chicken, you can use a whole chicken, but the thing that I use most often is the carcass of the chickens that I bone out. So I'm constantly boning out chickens, and I always make chicken stock when I bone them out. I've never thrown a bone away without making chicken stock out of it. Now, you can make chicken stock by simply putting water just enough to cover this, but I'll tell you what I like to do. This is a batch of chicken stock that I made, I think last week, and then earlier this week, I boned out another chicken, and I actually used this stock to make that stock, and now this is going to be triple strength stock because instead of using water, I'm going to start by using chicken stock over my chicken bones. So I've just popped this out of the fridge. I'm going to take this chicken fat off of it. It just rests on the top. In traditional Jewish cooking, chicken fat's used. It's called schmaltz. I use it occasionally as a fat when I make a roux, if I want really a lot of chicken flavor. But to be honest, for the most part, I don't use this. I throw it away. And by the way, I don't pour it down my sink. If you live on a septic tank, you never want to do that. I learned that the hard way. It's probably not good for city water either, or city sewage. So here's my chicken stock, and you can see that it's pretty rich because it doesn't pour, it kind of moves like a jelly. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. I will add some water to it as well. And then I'm going to put it on the stove, bring it to a boil, and skim it. I'll show you how. So I've added some water to this. I just want enough to cover the carcass well. And if you look in here, you can see there's some water, and you can see it almost looks like globs or little icebergs that are the stock that I put in there. So I just want to bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to skim it. This is just starting to come to a simmer, and there's a little bit of foam. They call it scum that's appearing on the top of this, and you can see there's fat that's beginning to melt. So once this starts to bubble a little bit more, I'm going to start skimming this. See, this is starting to boil pretty well. You've got to watch this at this point because if you don't pay attention, it can boil over. I'm going to start skimming off some of this scum. Tip the ladle just so that this stuff flows into it. And then you just want to put it in a bowl or something to the side. The one thing you don't want to do at this point is you don't want to stir it, because if you stir it, you're going to end up with all of those particulates down in it. It's still on high. I'm going to drop the temperature just a little bit. You don't want to cook stock at a high heat once it comes to a boil anyway. You want it to simmer, not violently, but just gently. I don't know if you can see, but I'm also taking off some of this fat while I do the same thing. Now, a traditional stock has carrots, onions, celery in it, a mirepoix, and some salt. I don't put any of that in here because I just want the chicken flavor. I'm going to reduce this. I may make a double and triple strength stock. And I don't want the other flavors in there because they get too strong. I want this to be pretty neutral. And I don't add any salt for that reason, because if I get it concentrated and reduce it down, if I've put salt in it, it may be so salty that I can't use it. Now I think we're going to go ahead and cover this, and we're going to let this go, probably for 30 minutes, and then I'll check it. All right, the stock has been cooking for 30 minutes. I'm going to strain it. So it's a little bit warm. Ouch. So you can see there's the stock. I'm just going to strain this. You don't have to do it when it's this hot, but it doesn't hurt anything. So I've got Tupperware containers. I've got a strainer, and this is what I prefer to use to strain this. You could use a colander. It would catch the carcass, but it would not take out the small bits, which you really want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and strain this. And you want to be careful not to get splashed. On this particular stock, I only did the carcass. Most of the time when I make stock, if I'm doing boneless chicken, I'll throw the skin, I'll throw any other bones, I'll throw the fat, I'll throw everything in there because it all brings flavor. I don't think I can quite make all of it in here, so I'm going to go ahead and use a second container. And I'm going to use my ladle just to hold that carcass so it doesn't come flying out. This is actually easier to do than if you've got a bunch of other chicken in there. The chicken that's left in here, you can see there's chicken still on these bones, but the flavor is now in the stock. You could pick this and eat it, but it wouldn't be very good. It's pretty bland. So what we do is we pick this once it's cool enough and we give it to our dogs, and they love it. If they weren't locked up, they'd be lined up right there waiting to get the picked chicken. You don't want to put this in the refrigerator until it's cooled. So this is really quite hot because it just came out, it was just boiling. I'll probably let this rest on the counter for a good hour. If you cover this and put it into the refrigerator while it's hot, there's a chance it could sour because the temperature will be in the danger zone. So let it cool down. Once it's not feeling too hot, then go ahead and cover it and stick it in your fridge. If you have to put it in the fridge while it's still a little bit warm, leave the lid off or just leave it partially this way so that the heat can get out. So chicken stock is great. You really want to start making your own. It is so much better than store-bought. You will thank yourself for doing it.